roaring thunder, pattering rain against the tent, a wind howling, whispering to me, stabbing me with the forgotten shards of memories. I woke in the dark from a troubled sleep, filled with dreams I would rather not have. It was dark inside the fluttering tent. Outside, a storm was gathering momentum. Rubbing my eyes, I quickly gained orientation, realizing I wasn't dreaming anymore. No, I was in the wilderness, camping far away from any human settlement. I quickly remembered that I was there to start things over, to feel like parts of the past never happened. I also realized that the storm outside would soon become strong enough to rip apart the tent. Panicking, I quickly unzipped the entrance and pounced onto the grass outside. The normal, calm, and peaceful world was all chaos, just like my heart. The sky was violently restless as dark clouds rolled, thunder cracking inside them, shaking the ground beneath my feet. Lightning strikes etched into the sky, burning out, illuminating the world. My mind went into overdrive. I shuffled on my feet, planning to pack my stuff and find shelter. But it was too late. The storm hurled my stove and camping equipment far away into the distance, into the darkness. One of the 4 pegs holding my tent was yanked out of the ground. Time was running out. I feared a lightning strike or a battering object. The thought clenched my heart and made me run as fast as my legs would take me. In search of shelter, I ran toward the woods, but in my mind, I knew there was no shelter for long distances, but I was hoping against hope to find some place to protect myself from this raging storm. Finally, a miracle happened. The turrets of a majestic castle loomed ahead, right in the middle of the woods. I did not waste time thinking about where the castle had come from, or why I hadn't seen it before in all of my years of camping in the wilderness. Making haste, I rushed for the castle. Time froze. The woods became a blur, and my heart thudded against my chest until finally I emerged out of the woods. The castle was located near a lake I had camped around many times. A flight of steps led to the main door, bolted shut. What if the door is locked and no one lets me inside? What if the castle is empty? Shaking myself, I cast these thoughts aside as another thunderclap shook the world. The windows showed that the castle was lit. There had to be someone inside. I rushed toward the stairs, climbing 2 steps at a time until I slammed into the ornate door, which didn't budge an inch. My heart sank as a weight dropped into the pit of my stomach. I fumbled around to find a doorknob or anything to let the doors open. Please, please open. This thought rang in my head. Instantly, something happened. The door creaked from inside. I could hear the sounds of locks unbolting. Instinctively, I stepped back. The doors opened of their own accord. Without paying attention to how peculiar it was that the doors opened by themselves, I jumped inside. Immediately, the doors closed behind me as I stood in the entrance hall. A wave of relief washed over my heart. which became light like a fluttering feather. The uncomfortable sensation in my stomach vanished. I inhaled and exhaled, deep breaths of comfort, knowing I had survived the violent storm. As fear, panic, and adrenaline disappeared, I came to my senses. The entrance hall's embellishment came to my attention. A majestic crystal chandelier hung overhead. Its many arms held bulbs that cast their warm yellow glow, lighting the entire hall. 2 doors on either side led away from the gallery, whereas a winding stairway led to the upper floors. Ornate decorations and paintings embellished the entrance. My mind filled with curiosity as I stepped forward to examine the many attractions, only to stagger to my knees. My legs were cramped, my muscles aching. Running had left its effects, something I was oblivious to until this point. In my adrenaline-filled state, I had not realized how fast I had run for so long. Pain stabbed my legs as I got to my feet, making me wince. I should probably sit down. I wish there was a chair nearby. Then, with a loud thud, which made me jump, I found the coziest armchair placed behind me. What? How? When? I was at a loss for words. Was I hallucinating? There was no chair in the middle of the entrance hall before. I was sure of that. Scratching my head, I looked at the chair with uncertainty, but another shooting pain in my leg made me forget all logic and reason. I sat on the chair and sprawled on it. I felt like I was slowly drowning in the chair. Its comfort was beyond expression. I felt the pain in my muscles seeping into the chair's leather. Lying on the chair for a few more minutes, I felt entirely reinvigorated. Getting on my feet, I walked to see that all the pain was indeed gone. I felt as if I had awakened from the most restful nap. Turning around, I looked at the chair in awe and marvel. Surely, I thought, the chair had to be magical. I was baffled and stumped. My understanding of how the world worked was crushed. This mysterious castle that had appeared out of nowhere in the storm did things of its own accord, but I gave myself the benefit of the doubt, postulating that my mind was still recovering from the trauma and shock of the storm. It's all in your head, I told myself. It's all in your head. And so, I went about exploring the castle to find out who lived there. I wanted to apologize to them for coming inside without invitation. Carefully, I slowly opened both the doors on either side. One of them opened into an empty dining hall. The sights of empty plates made my stomach grumble. All my exertion had worked up an appetite in me. Thinking about my food supplies and stove scattered by the storm, I wondered if I could find any food in the castle. Suddenly, an irrational thought crossed my mind. Just like the chair and the opening entrance doors, what if the castle presented me with food upon request? Feeling childish, I closed my eyes and thought, I wish I had hot, delicious food to satisfy my hunger. As I laughed at my silliness, the most unexpected scent wafted in the air, the scent of mouth-watering food, and indeed, a plate filled with the most scrumptious food lay on the previously empty dining table. My amazement knew no bounds, and part of me wanted to run away from the castle. Yes, fear settled in as the unknown unfolded around me, but another part of me was brimming with curiosity. I wanted to know what was happening, but there was yet another part of me, a primal element, wanted to devour the delicious food before doing anything else. Naturally, the third part of my mind won as I sat at the dining table and gobbled up the food. I left the plate sparkling clean. Sensations of pleasantness took hold of me, the ones that circulate in one's body after eating to the full. Once hunger was gone, I got my mind back on the problem at hand. I knew how to solve this mystery. The solution was there all along. I wish I knew the mystery of this old castle, who resides here, and how my wishes are fulfilled. With bated breath, I looked around, waiting for my wish to be fulfilled. But instead, a piano materialized in the corner of the room. Its keys started to be pressed without any fingers working on them. A song most dreamy, a mesmerizing melody that plucked my heart's strings. Suffused in the music were love, kindness, the spirit of giving, and power. My eyes dropped shut as a vision came to me. I could still hear the music as a voice spoke in my head, accompanied by a face, emaciated and kind. The face belonged to an elderly man. He beamed brightly, his white beard long and silky. Even in my vision, looking into his eyes brought solace to my troubled heart. They were the kind of eyes, when you look into them, you receive assurance that everything will be all right in the end. "My child," said the elderly man, "I am the spirit of this magical castle. Yes, you have surmised correctly. This castle has granted your wishes through what you conceive as magic, a mythical force beyond ordinary comprehension. I have seen much good in your heart, child. Yes, you have seen much pain, but you have the capacity to do great good. And with that faith, I grant you a portion of my powers. Now, go out into the world and do well." Coming around, I felt my cheek pressed against the grass. I was back in the woods. The storm was gone, and the world was back to normal. It was a pleasant breezy day. The sun shined brightly in the clear sky. The castle was there no more. I could see the lake, but there was no castle there. Was it all a dream? Had I really run into an enchanting castle which had granted me some of its powers? I stretched my hand and focused on a fallen log nearby. Burn, and instantly the log caught fire. It incinerated as a gray cloud billowed into the air. So, it had all been true. Normally, one would be overjoyed with such a gift. Normally, there was a reason for this trip in the wilderness, an escape from the past that haunted me. I couldn't go back and change things. I couldn't bring them back. Then suddenly, an unusual joyful darkness came over my heart. As the world glowed bright and green, as I stood there, I realized I had the power to finally exact vengeance. The memories of my loved ones, hurt and harmed by evil souls, had haunted me for many years. I hadn't slept peacefully for many years. But now, at long last, fate had given me the power to hurt those that had crushed me, destroyed me, and the life that I had loved so much. the power to make them feel, see, and understand my pain. To have restlessness creep into their nights, to have their lives forever changed in ways they cannot imagine. My breath became jagged as anger boiled in my heart. I was filled with fury as I searched the expansive blue skies for answers that would likely never be given until my eyes caught a splash of color. My heart raced as the rainbow made its full presence known. Colors of love, hope, peace, and promise filled the sky. It was unmistakable. Suddenly, overwhelmed with the eternal conflict that peace and revenge fight for every day, an uncontrollable sob of grief flooded the silent forest around me as it gripped my heart. I fell to my knees and wept aloud until there was no more strength in me, until there were no more tears left, until I was left emotionless in the quiet of the forest. Was vengeance going to give me the solace and peace I sought? Would inflicting hurt and pain with my newfound powers allow me to enjoy the light in this world once more? There was no way to know, none at all. There in the wilderness, away from all of humanity, I gazed at the ground, void of emotion, over the choice my new powers had presented me: to be selfless and do good, or to satisfy my never-ending thirst for revenge. What would you do if you were in my place?